So, welcome to Nürburgring for round 3, races 5 and 6 that is, of the Formula Renault Northern European Championship. Started the season at Monza, moved to Assen, but it's a tail-end loaded championship. Racing here at the Nürburgring, 3 races, next weekend Spa-Francorchamps for another 3, and then ending it with 3 at Hockenheim. So quick fire between September and October. Track temperature just creeping up to 24 degrees. It was much, much cooler this morning. We've had sunshine. The clouds are now starting to roll in. Generally a bright day at the ring. Grandstands filling up, a full day of racing action, and 15 cars just assembling past my commentary position down on the grid. You can see the flags fluttering above the pit buildings, so we could have a change of weather, but I can still see the tower of the Nürburgring castle clear in the distance. But for now, we'll take the coolish but sunny weather here at the ring. 15 cars leading the way in the championship, Gilles Magnus, but he is starting 14th out of the 15 runners on the grid for RACE GP. And on pole, we have Sasha Fenestrae with Joseph Kaufmann Racing, and that team coming on board this weekend, generally contesting the main European Championship, but venturing to the ring, bringing 3 drivers. Sasha Fenestrae on pole, Yifi Aye, the Chinese racer, 7th on the grid, and the third of their cars, Lewis Leeds, Australian racer, down in 11th. So first of their 3 races here, with 30 points for a win. Every opportunity for those not yet well placed in the championship to really vault up the order. Gilles Magnus, as I say, championship leader, 71 points. So if someone comes here and wins all 3, they're likely to go right towards the front end of the championship. There is number 11, Sasha Fenestrae, starting on the side away from the pit wall. That is pole position. Young French racer been going very well in the main European Championship, and in fact just had his Formula 3 debut in the European Championship. I believe it was last weekend. Yes, indeed it was, and really impressed in that. So Formula Renault graduates continuing to impress. Second car on the grid, there we have it, in the Red Bull livery, number 33. That's Dan Dictum, a young British driver who's really making a splash. Had a season out of racing, and now back on board, and really rather impressing as he does so. So just off the pole position, third of a second down in second place on the grid. Car 41, that's Yifi Aye. In fact, that's starting, sorry, the combined grid has moved him up to third place, so there he is starting in third. Car number 41, Chinese racer, so very good indeed for Joseph Kaufmann Racing. Yifi Aye picking his way up the order, championship order. Number 1, Charles Milesi for RACE GP. A lot of French drivers at the front end of the field here. And then 21, Sun Yu Yang, so Chinese drivers making a splash as well. That's a good position for him. So conditions not terribly easy first thing this morning. The track was dry in places, but damp in more places than it was dry. So it's very easy to make a little bit of a slip up. And 22, Jean-Baptiste Simonauer, also racing for JD Motorsport, as is Yu Yang. And that's showing a much better streak of form for Jean-Baptiste there. So people set for a full day of racing here. Next track action, of course, the Blancpain GT Series practice race. But this is a chance for these young single-seater drivers. And a lot of drivers have gone from single-seaters on into GT, but right now it's all focused. Lewis Leeds from Australia, focusing on what lies ahead. Had he been here 12 months ago, it would have been thick mist that hung over the circuit. Now, Gabriel Aubry, third in the championship. He won the first 2 rounds, but didn't take part in Assen. So double victory, both of them from pole at Monza. So he's definitely got the pace, but one of the quicker drivers who is likely to be coming through the field. So watch out for Gabriel. And car number 6, that's Thomas Neubauer, French racer. Sounds German, but it's obviously right up from that corner where France and Germany meet. He has picked up a 6th place so far, but like Aubry and like Max Futrell of Tech 1 Racing, they didn't take part at the round at Assen in Holland at the start of August. And number 3, Michael Benyahaya, very well placed in the championship, 5th overall. So pleased to see plenty of different liveries in this race. I do have a bit of a bugbear when teams enter 4 cars and they're all in the same colour scheme. Certainly better for the fans around the circuit. Number 5, that is Thomas Maxwell, second Australia in the field, again racing for Tech 1 Racing. So he also missed that second round at Assen, but I'm sure majority of these runners will be doing the remainder of the season. As I said, Nürburgring, Spa-Francorchamps, Hockenheim, great cluster of circuits. Moving doubly back. Arden International joining the championship this weekend, normally racing the main European series. James Pull, British racer. So the grid now being cleared. It's going to be very quick fire indeed. Race set for 20-25 minutes. It's always good when the crews strip themselves away from the grid and we can see the cars in their glory. So 15 runners around this 17-turn circuit, 5.137 kilometres. And when they went out qualifying this morning, the air temperature was only 11 degrees. It's certainly risen since then. And likewise, track condition was only 14 degrees and it went over 20 degrees some while back. So conditions coming the way of the drivers. Green lights on, and so away on their formation lap. So leading the way round, it's Fenestrae, car number 33, Dan Dictum. That's the Red Bull liveried car starting alongside on this formation lap. So summer has definitely turned to autumn. There was a hanging mist this morning. It was about 5 degrees. Beautiful, beautiful conditions, but the driver's glad to be able to get a bit more heat into their tyres, and particularly on this lap they have to really, really focus at that as they try and get it all together when they come back round to take the start through the Mercedes Stadium section. Now here is the grid order. Fenestrae, Dictum, Yifiaie, Charles-Milesi, Sun Yu Yang, Simonauer in 22, Lewis leads tucked in behind. Look out for Aubrey down from 8th place, Neubauer just squeezing in ahead, the bottom end of the top 10 there. So down to James Pull in 12th and 3 more runners. Koiso Manu, the championship leader, and Bartolome Mirecki, who had his best times taken away for a misdemeanor. So right down the bottom part of the circuit. Good to see the whole racing surface is now uniformly dry. Certainly it was a problem when these drivers went out for their second qualifying this morning. There were clear damp patches, and as all drivers know or need to know when they went onto the curbs after a wet night, that is where the moisture hangs. So a few people having big twitchy moments, but generally keeping it all very much together. So in time-honoured fashion on a formation lap, you weave, you weave, you weave, and also you hit the brakes hard when you go up into the chicane. Well, not that you're travelling at great speed, you've got to get the heat in the brakes, heat in the tyres. Will Gabriel Aubrey move his way up the grid? He's starting not where he'd like to be. He's some way distance down on the outside, well, it's the inside, it's the pit wall side of the 4th row, but certainly advantage with Sasha Fenestrae, young French racer in car number 11, who will be starting from pole position. 96, back of the field, Bartolome Mirecki. So conditions dry, all looks absolutely fine. Let's go racing. Let's hope we can get all the cars down through that first sequence of corner, the doubling back first corner. It's going to be tough. If you make a good start, you might be able to pick up a position, but one of the beauties of the Nürburgring, a very nice wide circuit for them to go and play on that run down to turn 1. But the key is not to take too many risks, not to tuck your nose where you don't want it to get tapped. So on the pit wall side is Dan Dictum, the British racer in number 33. The poleman angling slightly over towards the First corner is number 11, Sasha Fenestrae. Sasha racing for Joseph, Kaufmann Racing and Dan Dictum for Arden Motorsport. Both teams joining the championship this weekend ahead of Gabriel Aubrey, who won the opening 2 races for Tech 1 Racing at Monza in June. But right now it's all eyes on the gantry. The red light's about to come on. The driver's looking up there. Bright conditions. Weather could be changing, but I don't think during the course of this race all looks good to get away. Waiting some more. No signal, anything has been... start deleted, we're now being told. So people coming back onto the grid. Yes, we had the orange flashing lights rather than the red. A message had just come on the screen. Start deleted. It's a 25-minute race. You can see the 25 minutes up on the starting gantry. Couldn't see any problems for any of the drivers in particular. Didn't spot any arms sticking up out of the cockpits. I think it's a matter they're being told... Both sides of the grid being told what the situation is. Due to be 25 minutes, the race meeting is running a little bit late today after various spins and red flags in all the practice and qualifying sessions earlier this morning. A packed agenda, a packed program of racing here at the Nürburgring. I can't lip read, I can't tell by the messages from the directors down there, or championship organisers, what the situation is. Orange light still flashing away on the start gantry for Sasha Fenestrae, Dan Dictum, Yifiaye, Charles Milesi et al. In this 15-car field for the Formula Renault NEC series. There is a delay of some sort. Still says start deleted. I didn't spot anything untoward down around the formation lap. But clearly the message is having to be passed to all 15 drivers out on the grid, hopefully in a language they understand. So lots of onlookers, not all of them entirely happy by looks things down there. Couldn't quite tell by that, but lights flashing away. It's not saying start to abort, it's saying start deleted. I can't for one see why that is, but 14 of the 15 drivers have now been told what the situation is. Just waiting for Bartek Mirecki to have the message passed to him. Polish racer, so round they go one more time. Green lights for a further formation lap, and as soon as I get information on the timing screen as to why we're having one of those, I will let you know. So it seems there's an element of confusion up and down the pit lane, but a few smiles on faces, so all isn't bad. So right, formation lap number 2. I'm not sure that's what the doctor ordered, because we were hoping to keep things tight on the agenda. It's been packed day here at the Nürburgring, and a lot more racing coming our way. But for the Formula Renault Northern European Championship drivers, a chance for a further lap around the circuit. They've been told obviously not to do too much weaving around and to get round as fast as they possibly can, certainly taking this at a far greater pace. Last time on their formation lap they were weaving from side to side to try and get heat into their tyres. This time they've been told to just get on with it and come back round to the grid as soon as possible. So Sasha Fenestrae from Dan Dictum, from Yifiaye and Charles Milesi, they are the top handful of cars. Lewis leads there in the bright yellow car. One of a huge number of Australian racers now coming up to contest race series in Europe. So down to the lowest part. Is it the lowest part of the circuit, the turn 8 hairpin? No, I think possibly equals or rivals the drop down to turn 13 before the track rises up again to the chicanes at 14 and 15. And the highest part of the circuit is very much the sort of final corner and the start-finish straight before it then starts sloping down towards turn 1. Drivers all love the many changes of gradient around the Nürburgring. So drivers now doing a little bit of weaving as they try not to overtake the car in front as they come back round, hopefully for a nice clean start. 15 cars on the grid for this Formula Renault Northern European Championship race. Race 1 of 3 here at the Nürburgring this weekend. 1 today and 2 tomorrow. Sasha Fenestrae really making a splash in the main European Championship, and as I said, raced in the European Formula 3 Championship last year, trying putting a toe in the water for probably a programme in that next year. But right now, making his seasonal debut in the Northern European Championship, and no doubt keen to bag another win. Sasha Fenestrae is very much one of France's up-and-coming young drivers. The rear, Polish racer Bartek Mirecki. Bartek, the abbreviation of his full name, Bartolomé. So now let's see if we can see anything untoward. Well, let's hope we don't see anything untoward as Mirecki comes around that final corner in his black and green racer. Very similar in livery to the dark grey and green car of poleman Sasha Fenestrae. Sasha will start on the side closer to the grandstands. That is the side further away from the pit wall. Still no guessing, no answers to why the first start was deleted. And again, Sasha Fenestrae has his car lined up at a little bit of an angle, aiming down towards the apex of the opening corner. So he's not quite straight in the box, but he's within the box, so that's all totally legitimate. No further signals on the screen, so we have all the drivers in position on the grid. The last driver, Bartek Mirecki, on the right-hand side of the screen, getting himself straight, focusing on the lights ahead. Red lights are on the gantry, green flag waved, and a very good start by Lewis Leeds on the outside. He's gaining position, but poleman Sasha Fenestrae has done enough, or has he, to get ahead of Dan Dictum. Dictum, though, not backing out. He's got the inside line. Well, that's where he wanted to be. FIA, I think, is going to be pushed wide. Lewis Leeds, a big run around the outside for him. And the tail enders going out towards the edge of the circuit. So those who gained, Lewis Leeds. Those who lost, Sasha Fenestrae. There is Fenestrae in second place. But Dan Dictum didn't look so brilliant off the start line, but he kept on coming and was on the inside line going down into turn one. Going through the stadium section, drivers keeping it very tidy indeed. Some going a little wide, but it's the opening lap. That can happen. Better than contact. So it's not grid order, it's the reverse. It's Dan Dictum ahead of Sasha Fenestrae as number 3, going up the inside and not quite making a move work there. That was Michael Benyaya. Must say these drivers getting in close and resisting tapping each other. That is very good indeed, all part of the learning process. But Dan Dictum, driver on a charge, driver who took the lead down to turn one, down to the bottom part of the circuit, and he is still ahead of pole starter Sasha Fenestrae. Down behind, it's very close indeed. Looks good, looks tidy. If there's any sparks coming, it could be down in the midfield. Oh dear, we got someone pushed a little bit wide there. Just and onto the marbles and nearly off the circuit on the outside. Boy, that was a clear example of why you don't want to be there. That's Thomas Maxwell, number 5, who had those 2 slippery moments. Mirecki gaining, or trying to gain a place. He picked off 2 people down at that point. So it really was an awful lap for Tom Maxwell. Very, very good lap though for Dan Dictum, leading the race from Sasha Fenestrae, FIA and Charles Milesi. Mirecki again picking up places. Black and green entry number 96 didn't quite pull off the move. Can he do it around the outside? I'm not sure outside line is the best one at the chicane, nor's he. So he's just hanging back a little bit. Nearly got clouted by Thomas Maxwell, who goes rodeoing, but that's because Mirecki came off, well, hit the brakes harder than he planned because he realised he wasn't going to make the move at the chicane, had to come off the power, and that nearly caught out Maxwell. Nearly ended a very poor lap for him. But it's Dan Dictum by just under a 0.4 of a second, 0.399. Fenestrae has a little look down into T1. Turn 1, decides not close enough, but he's got to do what he can to upset our race leader, Dan Dictum. FIA in 3rd, Milesi 4th, and Lewis Leeds. It was a good start for him, for the Australian, up to 5th place overall. Gabriel Aubrey, who won the opening race of the series, has gained 1 position up to 7th behind Jean-Baptiste Simonauer. There are our top 7, and Yu Yang completing that. So there we are, nearly 10 seconds covering the field around that opening lap. Now they're a little bit more line astern. 18 and a bit minutes remaining. I think we possibly had a couple of minutes shaved from the race time by that second formation lap. Now, as Dictum got this under control, he and Fenestrae and FIA now starting to drop Milesi in 4th place. Yeah, first 3 certainly getting clear. Lewis Leeds chasing after Milesi. 14 bouncing the curbs, that's Gabriel Aubrey for Tech 1 Racing. I sense on this lap that we're starting to get a bit of pressure applied from Sasha Fenestrae. In fact, fastest of that lead group is the driver in 3rd, the red and white entry of FIA. Also from Joseph Kaufmann. So Joseph Kaufmann cars grey with the green nose and red with the white nose, running in 2nd and 3rd positions. Fastest middle sector of anyone, Sasha Fenestrae. I thought he was looking good. And now look how close he is coming up to the final corner of the lap. Lap 2 almost complete. It was 0.399 of a second last time around. And in this Formula Renault Northern European Championship race, the opener here at the Nürburgring, I think we can say this is tightening up. Who was quickest on that lap by, well, top three drivers all did a 1 minute 57.9 second lap, so 1.111 seconds from first through to third. But Fenestrae looking very good indeed. He obviously must be ruining what could have been a poor gear change, but that cost him the lead. He certainly was better off the line than Dan Dictum. Of course, the field is staggered, but by the time they got down towards the first corner, it was Dictum in front. Quite hard to see Fenestrae. He's getting in so close behind Dictum. Dictum in the blue and yellow car, Red Bull livery, and the much easier to pick out dark grey and bright green of Sasha Fenestrae. Waiting to see who is quicker through that first sector, but certainly Fenestrae is easily close enough to start thinking about making a move on Dan Dictum for the lead. Down to the hairpin, and again Dictum had just enough of an advantage to be clear in the braking zone to be of a threat, any possible passing manoeuvre or attempted one from Sasha Fenestrae. Fenestrae will have to use the racecraft he's built up over the past few years to choose the moment where he's going to strike. He'll no doubt dive this way, dive that way, and then try and get it to stick. All 15 runners, that's Mareki, Koso and Maxwell bringing up the rear of the grid. That's Michel Benahaya there, number 3, being chased down by Thomas Neubauer in number 6. But this is the lead battle. They're just starting to ease clear of the driver in third. That's Ye, there he is, the red and white car. But for Dictum and Fenestrae, 0.346 of a second. Here's the gap from first to second. I'd say we've lost another few hundreds out of that battle as well, because look how close Fenestrae is now coming out of the final corner, 17th corner. 0.3, well, he's down to 0.272, so he's taken almost another tenth. Now he's close enough to make a move. I don't think he'll do it on this lap. Oh, decided to go to the outside. That has certainly taken the attention of Dictum. Will he be able to tuck underneath on the way out? What a fantastic move. I think Dictum thought he was going out the inside and to the outside, and to pull it off. His team absolutely hated that. They did not. They loved it. It was absolutely brilliant move from Sasha Fenestrae, who really at this latter half of the season in Europe is starting to go better and better and better. So he took pole, lost it on the charge of the first corner. Now, what can Dan Dictum do? He's got to fight back. 3 laps sitting at the front of the field with Fenestrae right under his tail. Take a look at the replay. Dictum did not expect him to be going down the outside, and in turn, by defending the inside line, it meant that he was too close to the apex, couldn't corner at the shallow angle he wanted to do so, and therefore had to go deeper into the corner. So for the crew, for Dan Dictum, the Arden Motorsport crew, just saw them up on the pit wall there. Well, he's got to learn a lesson. Timing screens, of course, still show Dictum at the top, but our graphic is absolutely right on screen. That's Fenestrae on top. He wasn't on top when they crossed the start-finish line. In fact, Fenestrae has just set the fastest first sector of anyone on this lap as he tries to fight, as he tries to extend his advantage. And there, number 11. Fenestrae sort of is now, when he's made the move, he's got in front, and now he's pulling away. If anything, Dictum is falling back. Ifeaye in 41 is looking neat and tidy behind, and Fenestrae on this lap set the fastest first sector of the lap of anyone, the fastest middle sector of anyone, and therefore, barring throwing it around towards the end of the lap, he is going to set a new fastest lap in this race, crossing the start-finish line now, a 1 minute 56 that time, and 1:58 for Dictum, so 1.4 second gained by Fenestrae over Dictum. Battling over 10th place, Thomas Neubauer and Gilles Magnus. Magnus in the car in the background, 14 there, championship leader, but he's not going to gather a whole host of points in this. The championship points are allocated 30, 24, 20, and then from 4th place down, 17, 16, 15, 14, they go down by 1 per position. So really a huge boost if you can finish in the top 3 and eke more than just the odd point over someone you're racing with. Now 14 being pressured by 22, therefore that means in fact what's happened is that 22 has been losing a little bit of ground there. So Gabriel Aubrey all over the back of Jean-Baptiste Simonard in the battle for 6th place. Simonau's best so far was a 6th place in one of the 2 races in the opening rounds at Monza. Didn't finish the other one for JD Motorsport, but now settling in here at the Nürburgring, running in 6th place. Yiffy all getting close, and a little bit of a lock-up there for Dan Dictum in this battle over 2nd place. While our leader, Sasha Fenestrae, pulls ever further clear. He's more than 1.1 seconds clear, as he was last time around. So yes, that advantage is stretching, but Dictum now under massive pressure from Ye. Is there going to be a move? Certainly one luck up already from Dictum. Oh yeah, he had a little look, not as positive as his teammate had been. That's the final corner though, not the first. That's a much harder place to overtake. So I think that was a little bit of kidology from Ye in 3rd place. Dan Dictum is out to 2.2 seconds to Sasha Fenestrae. So Fenestrae's eking his way clear, then just a 1/3 of a second, almost precisely back to Ye. And Ye just sails up the inside. Has he done any braking? Well, enough to get into the corner, but enough to get out? Well, yes, he has. Only just though. So suddenly, for Joseph Kaufmann Racing, things looking better and better. But Dictum's not finished around the outside and then seemingly way off the circuit. And did he get all 4 wheels over the curbing? I think he did, but he'll have to cede 3rd position. In fact, Charles Milesi getting very close indeed. So for Dictum, that was tough. Milesi suddenly finding himself, he'd been off the back of that battle, he's now right with it. Now, can Dictum settle it all down again and take the battle back to Ye? Somewhat surprised by the passing manoeuvre. It was a rather convoluted one, but anyhow, what we have is Sasha Fenestrae leading the race and going clear with every corner. And then behind, Ye, Dictum, Abelesi. Looking in his mirrors, Yiffy is now not having to worry so much about Dictum. He's got just about enough of a gap after that passing manoeuvre at the start of the lap proved to be successful. And now Ye should be able to escape because Milesi is right on the tail in number 1, on the tail of Dan Dictum. Milesi had a 3rd place last time out, the first 2 races at Assen. So he's set to, if he gains another position, to change all that. And there's a replay. That was the battle of what had become 2nd place. Dan Dictum had no response, and then he had no track to drive on around the outside onto the apron, if you will. And the overtaking manoeuvres not only down at the front of the race. 6 and 3 in close together. Ben Yahya in 3 and Thomas Neubauer in 6. And Neubauer getting the better of that little clash. Oh, Charles Milesi getting closer and closer to Dan Dictum. Dictum now down to 3rd place behind Ye and the race leader Sasha Fenestrae, who is now 4 seconds clear. So 41 there, Yiffy. A little battle behind becomes more and more serious because Aubrey's really pushing hard with Simonau, trying to get past, being delayed though. Simonau possibly over-delivered in qualifying and on a much warmer track this afternoon here at the Nürburgring. Aubrey, very well placed in the championship, 3rd overall, is losing valuable points as he sits in behind in 7th place, but then a lock-up and somehow gets the car stopped. Jean-Baptiste Simonau, and nearly got to see the marshals close up down at the hairpin at the bottom of the hill at turn 8. Just managed to get enough retardation to continue on his way. Some good battling here, very, very entertaining. Jinking up the inside, diving to the outside. Some work, some don't, but that's the beauty of young single-seater racers experimenting as they go. 14 is Aubrey. In terms of experience, now knowledge, he ought to come out ahead, and he's decided he's going up the inside. So Jean-Baptiste Simonau had to back out at the chicane, realised the move had been made, and let him through. Now he's under a further attack. Oh, that was close. And that was Yu Yong Yang, his own teammate. JD Motorsport. So another lap on the books. Number 14 there, Gabriel Aubrey gained that place up to 6th overall. Now let's see if he can start to pull away. Sun Yu Yang lost a little bit of ground, but he's trying to fight back as well. There he is in number 21. Track conditions so much better than they were in qualifying this morning when it was very, very slippery indeed. Just after 9 o'clock. Bright blue skies they were then, bright sunshine, not a cloud to be seen. The clouds are now rolling in, but surface is dry, warming up, more rubber going down. Early autumn meeting here at the Nürburgring. It can be wet, it can be rainy, it can be misty. We don't have that today. We've got perfect conditions for racing, as Sasha Fenestrae is displaying, leading by 4.6 seconds now. Fenestrae through the chicane, waiting for the best of the rest. Red nose of IFIA, Dan Dictum, Charles Malaysia, and now Lewis Leeds in 5th place is starting to close in. Lovely shot, seeing the field go through the chicane. Now, who's going to make the move? Charles Malaysia's got close, but it's not yet working. Just looking there at Jules Magnus, number 4. He's the championship leader, but he'll lose it. Well, actually, where's Mirecki? Mirecki's behind him, that's all right. Mirecki was 2nd overall, but Gabriel Aubrey will go to the top at this rate. Gabriel's on 60 points, Mirecki 61, and Magnus 71. Strong shadows showing the conditions suddenly brightening right up. It was bright, but now it's full sunshine again at the Nürburgring. And is anyone going to make a move? The outside line and the inside line taken in both of those groups. So the battler trying to get ahead and having made it stick. Number 3 there went around the outside and in behind. James Pull tried the inside line and looked to have made that stick as well. James competing, starting towards the tail of the grid for Arden Motorsport, but picking his way up the order. And as is so often the case, one little slip up and in close racing, others profit from it. Number 21 getting spat out wide, that's Sun Young Yu. Number 6, Thomas Neubauer, trying to gain places and just keeps Yu in behind him in 21. Well, you can't fault these Formula Renault drivers for trying this way, that way, every way. All part of the process. Gives them a great grounding to take with them at the next stage of their career, if indeed there is a next stage, and do a very, very tidy move there from James Pull in number 15. But for Pull, that's good only for 12th place at the moment. So, but I think he's coming good as the race goes on. But the clock is counting down, and 3.25 minutes remaining in this race. First of 3, just worth repeating, 3 races here this weekend. 1 today and 2 tomorrow. Mirecki picks off another position. So Mirecki overtaking 21, Sun Yu Yang. So Yu Yang's been losing positions the last few laps, but nobody has been troubling our race leader. Number 11, Sasha Fenestrae. He had to say on paper he was the favourite coming into this race. Interesting to see how he's eclipsed first race double winner Gabriel Aubrey. But for Joseph Kaufmann Racing, a team that really knows its Formula Renault, Sasha Fenestrae is out front and pulling ever further clear. His best lap, the fastest of the race by nearly 0.4 of a second to hold ahead of the second place driver, IFIA. Dan Dictum, just a fraction down on their best pace in 3rd overall. But there is Dictum in 33. He's 1.5 seconds down on Ye in 2nd place, but Ye in turn is 5.5 seconds down on our race leader, Sasha Fenestrae. For a lot of drivers at this stage of their careers, it's attractive if they haven't come to a circuit to come and learn what it's like, particularly if they're The Northern European Championship is a minor branch of Formula Renault, and a lot of the drivers do this and the main championship. But for a lot of the ones who do this, first and foremost, this is about getting the experience to take on the full European Formula Renault Championship in the following season. Car 42, certainly gaining good experience. Lewis leads, Aussie racer. Just over half a second down on Charles Milesi in number 1. 5th place overall. But lead sitting on a 1.5 second gap over Aubrey. Big lock up there. Just ahead of the group. 14 there is Aubrey in 6th place. So 4th, 5th and 6th. Very close indeed. Coming up the hill now. Leads in the yellow car in the middle. Aubrey at the back. And Charles Milesi, who a while ago was really trying to take the battle to Dan Dictum. And that battle for 3rd place has lost a little bit ground. So 1.5 minutes remaining. Into another lap. Goes our race leader, Sasha Fenestrae, for Joseph Kaufmann Racing. Frankly, having been told it's the final lap, he should be very confident. He could afford to back off. 6 seconds clear. Car looking fantastic, shining your tunnel's sunshine here at the Nürburgring. Teammate from Joseph Kaufmann, Yifi Aye, who's a Chinese racer, coming through safely in 2nd place, 2 and a bit seconds clear of Dan Dictum. Dan racing for Arden Motorsport. Both these teams, Joseph Kaufmann Racing and Arden Motorsport, making their Northern European Championship 2017 debut. Lock up there from Ye, but he's all right. Dan Dictum tackles the hairpin with rather more aplomb and accuracy, but the clock has ticked away. This is the final lap of the race. Here is Sasha Fenestrae up to the crest of the hill at turn 11. He goes. And it's all nearly over. So for Sasha Fenestrae, making his 2017 championship debut and doing so with considerable aplomb. Down the dip he goes, up the slope again towards the chicane. No one on his tail, so he can take a gentle line through the chicane. And there he looked relatively slow, but of course that was the final corner of the circuit, turn 17. And down to the checkered flag, right past my commentary box. Nice win there. So 30 points to Sasha Fenestrae as that fires him up the championship table. 2nd place to Ye, 3rd place to Dictum, 4th place to Charles Milesi, leads right on his tail. Very close in that battle for 4th place. Milesi leads and Aubrey. And in fact, the whole field, exemplary driving from the vast majority, 15 runners who started and 15 who finished, covered by precisely half a minute, 30 seconds back to Thomas Maxwell, who had that awful opening lap where he got bounced around a bit, took to the chicane, got air under his tyres, but in the end, victory by 6.5 seconds for Sasha Fenestrae, so he'll be very pleased with that. So for Joseph Kaufmann Racing, so many years at this level of the sport, and yet again their expertise being utilised to great effect. So there are the results. Sasha Fenestrae is leading by 6.5 seconds. Dan Dictum got the lead, got pushed back to 2nd, and again demoted to 3rd. Charles Milesi in 4th, he's one of the regular championship runner. Better showing there from Lewis Leeds. Gabriel Aubrey came here with the points lead. Sorry, he was 3rd in the championship, but right near the front end. He's got some points, but not as many as he wanted. But the story of the race was the fact that Fenestrae was slow away from pole, but made it good, made the passing manoeuvre in a very, very clever form down into turn 1, and certainly surprised Dan Dictum, and thereafter he had the race under control. 6.5 seconds clear. Job done. 2 more races to go. Yifi Aye, he'll be pleased with 2nd place as well. In a 1-2 for Joseph Kaufmann Racing. There the pair of them come. Down towards you, 11, Sasha Fenestrae, 41, Yifi Aye. So first part of the equation, the first third taken care of. And he's going to bring that car back round to Parc Fermé and have the first of, well, who knows, it could be 3 victory celebrations in 2 days, but certainly on that form, the French racer Sasha Fenestrae looked imperious at the front of the field. Had to work to get there after he didn't make, eventually it turned out to be the best start because Dan Dictum from the other side of the front row got away rather better and certainly had more momentum as they approached the braking area, and was on the inside line for turn 1. Always such a vital line to have here at the Nürburgring. It took a clever passing manoeuvre, but Sasha Fenestrae, you know, deserves a good deal of applause there, because he got it all together. The first car into Parc Fermé is 33. That's Dan Dictum, who thought for a while he might be heading to victory in this race, but he was hunted down. Eventually got passed by Yiffy Aye as well. There is our race winner, Sasha Fenestrae, just waiting for the red and white car. There it is in the background of the Chinese racer, Yiffy Aye. So one car from Arden, but the cars that came first and second, the middle of our screen and the right-hand side, Sasha Fenestrae, the victor, Yiffy Aye, finishing in second place. So the first race out of the way, 2 more to come, but they're both tomorrow for the Formula Renault Northern European Championship. A chance for the drivers to celebrate, but gather their thoughts for tomorrow. But for a lot of them, be their first outing at the Nürburgring. So good experience gained all round. Very tidy race, some good overtaking manoeuvres. And the team very happy indeed as they greet their man. So there's Joseph Kaufman's crew. Yeah, well done, Sasha, indeed. And Yiffy Aye, he'll be pleased too. Very grand helmet design. Fantastic Chinese dragon on the flanks. And Dan Dictum looking disappointed in the background, but he realised that was a great move that led to him being passed for the lead, and we'll have to accept third place for now, but no doubt we'll be thinking already about the 2 races tomorrow. But there is the face of our, well, part of the face of our race winner, Sasha Fenestrae. Yeah, a big smile all round, and that was a very mature and rapid drive to take victory in the first of the 3 Formula Renault Northern European Championship races here at the Nürburgring. Smile for the camera, smile he does, and 30 points in the pot. Conditions are clouding up a little bit, but it's a fair autumn day at the Nürburgring. But let's go down and hear from our race winner, Sasha Fenestrae, who's been caught in Parc Fermé by Dakota.
Sasha, well done. That was some great racing.
Yeah, quite a bad start, to be fair, and then could overtake Dan on turn 1. So then could make the gap with the second one with my teammate. So quite happy. Well, like always, the team done an amazing job. So we'll see tomorrow how it's going.
Are you hunting for another win?
Yeah, I hope so. So we can do all the weekend nearly P1. So I hope to have another win tomorrow.
Let's see how you go. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Good to hear from Sasha Fenestrae. Seems to have considerable aplomb, not just at the wheel, but also when it comes to doing the interviews. All an integral part of a young racing driver's job. And don't forget, of course, French is his first language, so very good delivery in English. So Dan Dictum waiting to get away. We had the interesting element of a second formation lap, but then when it got serious at the start, Dan Dictum in 33 went down the inside. It looks as though Fenestrae had done enough to take the position. He stayed rather wide, and the British driver said thank you very much indeed. And behind, the 15 runners got close, and luckily not too close as they went around the opening lap. A little bit of locking up further down the field. I think there may have been Charles Milesi, but the important thing at that point, it was Lewis Lee's getting position in the yellow car, but down at the tail of the field it was very tight indeed. Thomas Maxwell ending up bouncing over the chicane. Wow, really quite a wheelie at the chicane. And then the brilliant out and in manoeuvre gave the lead to Sasha Fenestrae. Well worked move. Dan Dictum didn't resist it. He realised he'd been bettered. And then Yiffy Aye was on the move as well. Dan Dictum running out of circuit on the outside from turns 2 to 3, and he had to tuck back into third position. Big lock up down into turn 1. But really it was all about Sasha Fenestrae. He got clear, got into the front, and then just pulled it clear. 6.5 seconds to the good by the end of the race. A very mature and meticulous performance, and he will very much have enjoyed that, because getting the first 1 out of 3 in the bag puts you in a very good frame of mind for the rest of the weekend. So just remember the finishing order. Fenestrae, Ye and Dictum, they were the top 3. Conditions perfect at the Nürburgring. Let's hope they're the same tomorrow. Just to run down on those results one more time. Fenestrae from Ye, Dictum from Milesi. Really close at the front, but Fenestrae eventually pulled his way clear. Some great racing, but very much the advantage with Fenestrae. As we come to the end of the first of the 3 races for the Formula Renault Northern European Championship here at the Nürburgring. All 15 starters finished. And we're just waiting for the podium, but good marker laid down by all of those drivers, but certainly the bragging rights with Sasha Fenestrae, not just for great form in the race, but it was a really good passing manoeuvre that he achieved to take that victory. And certainly in passing Dan Dictum, it was a A lot of drivers, you see, dive up the inside and then just can't get the braking done. They're in too tight at turn 1, but he fooled Dictum to think he's going on the inside, jinked to the outside, got his braking in earlier than Dictum did, and Dictum had the much tighter line to take, which is the harder line, and that eventually led to his undoing, but it was a very mature manoeuvre. So just waiting as we look out over the Eiffel forests. Great to be able to see so far away. Sometimes you come here to the Nürburgring, you can't even see that first bank of trees in spring and autumn weather conditions. But right now, at least for the Formula Renault Northern European Championship runners, they've got one of their 3 races out of the way, and that was in the sunshine. Quite what the weather will produce tomorrow remains to be seen. Right now, all the trophies being lined up, and we will have them out onto the podium very soon indeed. Just waiting for the photographers to get in position. The camera's already out there waiting to greet the drivers as they come out. Good chance for a lot of these drivers to have their first taste of the Nürburgring, and I think they will all have enjoyed it. And certainly with 2 races tomorrow, they've got plenty of chance to make amends if they got it wrong. But the good thing there, it was a nice clean race, no contact between any of the 15 runners, and some really, really good passing manoeuvres. But the Nürburgring, particularly this first sequence of corners that you see, there is enough track space for drivers to try and make a move. And at various other points of the track as well, you see them sometimes trying down into turn 8, which is the hairpin at the bottom of the hill. There's FIA on the left, and Sasha Fenestrae is on the right, and somewhere in the background will be Dan Dictum, all waiting to be signalled out onto the podium. All being laid down, so Dictum, you can see him in the Red Bull overalls, should be brought out first as the driver finishing in 3rd place. There's Dan Dictum, back on board for racing in 2017, making a very good name for himself. That's another podium position for the young British racer. FIA, yet more good results for him with Joseph Kaufmann racing, but the winner, and conclusively so, this lunchtime slot at the Nürburgring, Sasha Fenestrae. So after that rendition of the Marseillaise, the national anthem of France, the presentations, 3rd place award to Dan Dictum. He'd rather have the one for winner, but he was well and truly beaten this afternoon by a driver on the top of his form, Sasha Fenestrae. FIA, he'll be pleased that he managed to pull off a passing manoeuvre as well, so he takes the trophy for 2nd place. Probably not had one that shape before. And the third trophy, starting to loosen the top of the bottle there, but NEC 1 Northern European Championship. So Sasha Fenestrae has achieved his aim, which is victory in the opening race here, the opening race of 3. All the drivers onto the top step of the podium. So remember the name, Sasha Fenestrae on the left of your shot, FIA, and tallest driver of the 3 on the right hand side, young British racer Dan Dictum. And now time for spray, but time to keep those overalls dry. It's always the team boss that gets it. Joseph Kaufmann Racing, delighted with the outcome here at the Nürburgring. Their drivers 1st and 2nd. The FIA came home 2nd for China, but racing for France, and certainly making a fabulous name for himself. There is this afternoon's winner, drinking his champagne, Sasha Fenestrae.